Bonjour à tous, j'espère que vous allez bien. Je suis Sumoloa et je suis la fondatrice de FrenchArena. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the myths to learning the French language. So many times I hear people saying, oh, I don't want to learn French because of this reason or because of that reason, or it's too difficult for me to learn French because of this or that. In this video, I'm going to talk about different myths that people have told me that that's why they want to learn the French language, and I'm going to take my time to dispel them, okay? So have a sit and enjoy. The first myth I always hear every single time is learning a language is too expensive. First of all, that is not true. In this era we're in, we have access to the internet, we have access to so many free sites to learning things, not even just a language. So I believe that it depends on which site you're visiting, or it depends on which method it is that you decided to go by to learn a language. When I started learning French, I was listening to the radio. The radio is perfectly free. It's completely free. I didn't need to pay for anything. I just needed to tune in to the RFI station, and I was able to hear what they were saying. So that's the first myth. So please, if you believe that learning French is too expensive, it's not that expensive. It just depends on the method in which you have chosen to learn the language, okay? The second myth is that I'm too old to learn French language. First of all, who said that? Nobody is too old to learn anything. You can learn the language at the comfort of your home, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, or even 70. I remember once in one of my lessons, I had a couple. They were about 60 years old or thereabouts, and the reason for them wanting to learn French was so that they could probably relocate to another country and just retire there. This was a couple of age 60. They didn't have a reason perhaps to go to school or anything. So you're never too old to learn anything. Whether you want to learn how to make jollof rice, you want to learn how to braid someone's hair, you want to learn a new language, please do not let that hinder you from learning the French language. You're never too old to learn it, okay? Now, the third myth that I've heard with learning the French language is that I have to master all the grammar rules to reach fluency. First of all, that is not true. That is so not true. The only way to master the grammar rules is by speaking. Now, you do not need to get a textbook and learn every single grammar rules. It's not possible. Even in English, there are still so many things that we learn every day. So imagine trying to learn a language, you cannot learn all the grammar rules. What I would say is start small and slowly build your grammar. That's the only way. And it's by speaking that you get better. It's by writing that you understand the passé composé, the interrogatif, and other tenses of the French language. It's by listening that you actually get to hear what they're saying. So please, you do not need to learn all the grammar rules before you eventually say, oh, hey, I'm fluent in French, okay? The fourth myth is that it is embarrassing to make mistakes when speaking another language or when speaking the French language. And this is not true. How are you going to know if you're making a mistake if you do not speak French? When I started learning French, I remember my teacher used to tell me the same thing, Sumo, speak. Sumo, speak. I was so shy because I didn't want to mispronounce a word, or I just didn't want it to come out funny because I'm not a native French speaker. And he said, see, if you don't speak, I'm never going to be able to correct you because you're going to be reading it and in your head, you're thinking, oh, what you're saying is correct. So if you don't say anything, nobody's going to know you're wrong. And after I say, oh, Sumo, this is the right way to say it. So please do not ever think, oh, I'm too shy, I'm going to make a mistake. Make that mistake you're afraid of making, correct yourself, so that next time you would actually say the word better, okay? Now, the fifth myth that I always hear is, I do not have time. First of all, I don't have time at all. We're all adults. We have things we're doing. We have obligations to family, to school, to friends, to work, and so many other aspects of our lives. But we have time. The time you're using to watch this video is enough time for you to listen to a French song. The time you're going to work, probably in transportation, somebody is driving you, you can be listening to a French song. You can be watching a French music video. When you're home and you probably have nothing much you're doing, you can be watching a movie on Netflix. You can watch a series. There's so many, like I said, the internet is there. You have so many things or so many sites you can go to that would aid you in learning a language. So you saying you don't have time, make out that time. We make our time to go to work, right? Exactly. So when you get back from work, you can actually have time to say, you know what, I'm going to spare 30 minutes every single day to learn something new in the French language. Even if it's something, okay, you know what, let me learn how to make French toast. Learn how to make French toast and learn the ingredients in French. If it's that, okay, you want to learn a French song, go online and type whatever song, maybe romantic songs in French, write down the lyrics, listen to it, it will help you. If it's that, okay, go online, top best movies to watch in French, There are a ton of movies on Netflix, so there's enough time to do all these things. It's all about discipline and commitment and knowing your why. When you're able to figure out what your why is, why you want to learn the language, it's then easier for you to create time to do those things. You can also think of one of the favorite things you love doing. Some people say they love cooking, they love doing makeup, they love sewing. You create time for those things, right? Exactly. So the same thing with learning the language. You need to create time to learn it. It's not just going to happen magically. You actually have to create the time to practice, practice, practice. Now, the sixth myth that I always hear is that the French people are rude. I don't think the French people are rude. Even when I couldn't speak French, I used to travel to France and I would try and speak French to them, a bit of what I knew, and they became warm towards me. So every country has its own culture. Like in Nigeria, if you're talking to a Yoruba person, if you do not kneel when you're greeting them, they might say, oh, this girl doesn't have manners. They wouldn't understand that that person is not used to that. So it's the same thing with the French people. When you enter their shop, you don't say, good morning, I'm looking for. If you're at least nice with them and say, oh, bonjour, excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît, whatever it is you say to them, they make you know, oh, this boy or this girl is actually trying. Even if you don't have the French accents, it's okay. They can at least hear that, okay, she's trying to speak our dialect or our language, let me be nice to her. So they're not rude. Maybe you've met some people that have been mean to you. That might be possible. There are mean people around the world. But I do not believe personally that the French people are rude. Just try and understand them a little better and you see how easy it becomes. And please do not say because they are rude, you don't want to learn their language. No. At the end of the day, they still speak French whether they are rude or not. So don't let that stop you. And the final myth that I'm going to discuss today is that learning a language requires a special talent, and I do not have it. Everybody learns something. Most people went to school for 4 years, 3 years, or 5 years to learn something. It took them a practical amount of time to actually say, okay, you know what? I'm a doctor, I'm a hairstylist, I'm a makeup artist. It took them time to learn that skill. So nobody was just born with a talent. You have to harness that talent. Even people that are singers or actresses, it's by continuous practice that they get better. Why do we spend so much time going to see a movie with probably Leonardo DiCaprio in it? It's because we know that he's coming here with good stuff. Or with Samuel L. Jackson. They've actually showed that over time, they have been able to practice, and get better at being great actors, okay? So you can't just say you don't have the talent or you don't have the language born in your body. Nobody does. It's by speaking it every day that you get better. So once you practice, you eventually say, okay, you know what, guys, I'm fluent in French. I hope that with all these myths, you've been able to see that you can actually learn the language. I used to say this thing before that, oh, I can never learn the language, it's not for me. But eventually I put that behind me. I had a positive mindset and I decided to take a course and practice with so many free sites that I could find. And today I'm able to speak French perfectly, okay? So please guys, if there are any other myths you must have heard or any other thing that is hindering you from learning French, do leave a comment in the comment section below so that I can get back to it. I would love to hear from you. Thank you et bonne journée.